Did you know that 89% of people who think they're lazy are actually experiencing something completely different? What I'm about to reveal will change how you see your own behavior forever. If you've been calling yourself lazy for staying in bed all day, your brain might be protecting you from something far more serious. Today we're going to untangle the hidden psychology behind why your body refuses to move. Here's what most people don't realize. There's a secret difference between laziness and burnout that even psychologists struggle to explain. When you can't get out of bed, your mind immediately labels it as a character flaw. But neuroscientists have discovered something shocking. Your brain might actually be in survival mode, the dangerous part. Mislabeling burnout as laziness can trap you in a cycle that gets worse over time. But here's where it gets crazy. If you're going through your days on autopilot, feeling like you're watching your life from the outside, your brain has activated what scientists call depersonalization mode. This isn't laziness. This is your nervous system's emergency response. 95% of people experiencing this have no idea what's actually happening to them. They think they've become unmotivated, but Harvard research reveals something completely different. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to protect you from emotional overload. The Karolinska Institute in Sweden conducted brain scans that will blow your mind. Research from an integrative team of psychological scientists provides striking evidence that workplace burnout can alter neural circuits, ultimately causing a vicious cycle of neurological dysfunction. Your brain is physically changing its structure to survive. Wait, because what's coming will shock you even more. Here's the psychological trap that catches everyone. Lazy people were always lazy. But if you used to be motivated, if you used to achieve things, if you used to care deeply about your goals and now you don't, something fundamental has shifted in your brain's reward system. The most successful people do exactly what you're doing when their nervous system hits overload. Your lack of motivation isn't a bug, it's a feature. Your brain has made a calculated decision to shut down non-essential functions to preserve core survival mechanisms. And this is where everything changes. There's a hidden reason why you've lost interest in things you once loved that nobody's explained to you. When your brain experiences chronic stress, it literally shuts down your passion circuits to conserve energy. It's not that you don't care, it's that your brain won't let you care. Even psychologists are surprised when they see how quickly the brain can turn passion into apathy as a protective mechanism. This process happens through what researchers call emotional numbing, your brain's way of preventing further psychological damage. The most disturbing part: longitudinal brain imaging studies in humans have shown that cortical thinning and decreased functional connectivity of the prefrontal cortex and attention impairments actually occur during burnout. Your brain is literally shrinking in specific areas. But here's the secret part that 97% of people miss. If you've become snappy and emotionally reactive when you used to be calm, your nervous system is sending you a coded message. Neurophysiological and neuroimaging studies provide evidence for impairments in cognitive and emotional processing. In burnout, they create what neuroscientists call emotional dysregulation. Your cortisol levels have been hijacked, creating a constant state of fight or flight response that masquerades as a bad attitude. Lazy people are typically relaxed and unbothered. But if you're irritable and moody, something deeper is happening in your stress response system. The revelation that changes everything is coming next. When you stop taking care of yourself, your hygiene, your appearance, your basic needs, this isn't laziness talking. This is your brain prioritizing survival over everything else. It's actually redirecting energy away from what it considers non-essential functions. A Stanford study revealed that this self-neglect follows a predictable pattern that most people completely misunderstand. Your brain is making calculated decisions about where to spend its limited energy. Personal grooming becomes expendable when your nervous system thinks you're under threat. But there's another sign that 94% of people don't recognize. Have you been getting sick more often lately? Those frequent headaches, that persistent cold that won't go away, the muscle pain you can't explain? Your immune system isn't failing. It's being suppressed by chronic stress hormones. Consequences of burnout include increased allostatic load, structural and functional brain changes, excitotoxicity, systemic inflammation, immunosuppression, and even cardiovascular disease. Your body stops fighting infections effectively because it's too busy fighting the perceived psychological threat. This isn't weakness. This is biology under siege. Here's the inflammatory connection that will amaze you. Hypocortisolism induces low-grade inflammation throughout the body, which in turn contributes to severe health problems, including buildup of plaque in the coronary arteries. That joint pain you've been experiencing, that brain fog that won't clear, your body is literally inflamed from the inside out. Wait until you hear about the timeline. Here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. It's a 5-stage process that most people don't recognize until it's too late. Stage 1 looks like perfectionism and overcommitment, your brain trying to control the uncontrollable. Stage 2 feels like persistent stress and declining optimism, your nervous system starting to buckle. Stage 3 becomes chronic exhaustion and cynicism, your emotional reserves depleting. Stage 4 is complete emotional withdrawal and detachment, your brain going into protective mode. Stage 5 is what people mistake for laziness, but it's actually your brain in complete shutdown to prevent total psychological collapse. The dangerous truth? By stage 5, your brain has rewired itself to protect you from trying again. It's learned that effort leads to pain, so it stops you from making effort. This is survival, not character failure. But here's the part that will shock you. About your brain chemistry. Your memory and concentration problems aren't separate issues. They're part of the same protective mechanism. Individuals with clinical burnout must invest more mental energy in solving cognitive problems, because the brain regions responsible for executive function are literally operating at reduced capacity. The prefrontal cortex, your brain's chief executive officer, starts shutting down non-critical functions. That's why you can't remember simple things, why making decisions feels impossible, why your mind feels foggy. Your brain is running on minimum power to preserve core survival functions. The burnout sufferers also had weaker connections between the amygdala and the medial prefrontal cortex, a part of the brain involved in executive function or the ability to stifle impulses, and make long-term plans, and control our behavior. This explains why you can't stick to routines anymore, why planning feels overwhelming, why impulse control becomes nearly impossible. And this explains everything about your energy. That overwhelming exhaustion you feel isn't just tiredness. It's what scientists call vital exhaustion. Your body has been running on stress hormones for so long that your adrenal system has crashed. You're not lazy, you're physiologically depleted at the cellular level. Given the important role of the autonomic nervous system in stress regulation, astonishingly little is known. About nervous system functioning in burnout, a condition arising after prolonged exposure to work-related stress. But what we do know is terrifying. Your automatic body functions are breaking down. But there's more your brain is doing that you don't realize. Have you noticed changes in your appetite? Either eating too much or hardly at all? Your brain controls hunger through the hypothalamus, and chronic stress disrupts these signals completely. Some people stress eat because their brain craves quick energy for the perceived emergency. Others lose appetite because their digestive system shuts down during perceived threat. Your body literally stops producing the enzymes needed to digest food properly. Neither response is a character flaw. Both are automatic nervous system reactions to prolonged stress. Your gut-brain connection has been hijacked by your survival system. The sleep connection will amaze you. Your insomnia or hypersomnia aren't just symptoms. They're your brain's confused attempt to restore balance. When you can't fall asleep, your mind is stuck in hypervigilance mode, scanning for threats that don't exist. Your brain literally cannot distinguish between a work deadline and a saber-toothed tiger. Both triggered the same ancient alarm systems. When you can't wake up, your brain is trying to force the restoration it desperately needs. Sleep researchers have found that burnout completely disrupts circadian rhythms. Your brain loses its ability to distinguish between day and night, safety and danger, rest and alert states. Chronic fatigue syndrome and burnout have been consistently associated with autonomic dysfunction, specifically heightened sympathetic activity and decreased vagal tone. Your nervous system is literally stuck in on mode with no ability to switch to rest and digest. But here's the cognitive sign that proves it's not laziness. Can't make simple decisions anymore. Your brain isn't broken. It's overwhelmed by what psychologists call decision fatigue. Every choice, no matter how small, requires cognitive energy that your depleted system doesn't have available. Studies show that people with burnout experience measurable decreases in executive function. Tasks that used to be automatic now require conscious effort that you simply don't have in reserve. Your brain is operating like a phone with 2% battery. It can only run the most essential apps. This explains why choosing what to eat for breakfast feels impossible, why picking clothes seems overwhelming, why even simple conversations drain you completely. Your brain is rationing cognitive resources like they're the last drops of water in a desert. Here's the social withdrawal mystery solved. When you start avoiding friends, canceling plans, and isolating yourself, you're not becoming antisocial. Your brain is protecting your limited energy reserves. Social interaction requires significant cognitive and emotional resources that your system has marked as non-essential for survival. Research published in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that social withdrawal and burnout serves a specific neurological function. It prevents further emotional demands on an already overloaded system. Your brain has calculated that maintaining relationships costs more energy than you can afford to spend. It's not personal, it's neurological resource management. Your brain is making executive decisions about energy allocation without consulting your conscious mind. But here's the hidden physical symptom that reveals everything. Have you noticed your heart racing for no reason? Or feeling dizzy when you stand up? These aren't separate health issues. They're signs that your autonomic nervous system has lost its ability to regulate basic functions. Other significant consequences of burnout in the body are sleep problems, reduced immunity, and increased inflammation that create a cascade of physical symptoms. Your heart rate variability decreases, meaning your nervous system can't adapt to different situations anymore. Temperature regulation becomes impossible. You're either freezing or overheating. Digestion becomes erratic. blood pressure fluctuates wildly. These aren't random symptoms. They're all controlled by the same nervous system that's been hijacked by chronic stress. But there's hope, and here's the neuroscience behind why. The difference between burnout and laziness isn't just academic, it determines your entire recovery strategy. If you treat burnout like laziness, you'll make it worse by forcing yourself to just do more. But if you recognize burnout for what it is, a nervous system in protective mode, you can actually work with your brain instead of against it. The most successful recovery happens when you understand that your body isn't broken, it's intelligent. Every symptom you've been experiencing serves a protective function. Your brain has been trying to save you from complete psychological and physiological collapse. Previous research in rodents has found that chronic stress impairs attention-shifting ability in rats and damages neurons in the prefrontal cortex. But these deficits are reversed after 3 weeks of relaxation. The same reversibility exists in humans, but only if you honor your brain's protective mechanisms. Instead of fighting them, recent neuroscience research shows that burnout recovery isn't about willpower. It's about nervous system regulation. Your brain needs consistent safety signals before it will come out of protective mode. This means rest isn't laziness. It's medicine. Boundaries aren't selfishness. They're treatment. Saying no isn't giving up, it's healing. Here's what changes everything about recovery. Your brain has been operating in crisis mode for so long that normal feels dangerous. That's why just relax doesn't work. Your nervous system perceives relaxation as letting your guard down in a threatening situation. Recovery requires what researchers call nervous system re-education. You have to slowly teach your brain that it's safe to care again, safe to try again, safe to feel again. This process takes time because your brain needs proof, not promises, that the threat is gone. The neuroplasticity research proves this is possible. Your brain can literally rewire itself back to health, but it needs the right conditions. Safety, consistency, and gradual exposure to positive experiences that don't overwhelm your already taxed system. The most important thing to understand is this. Your exhaustion is proportional to how hard you've been fighting to keep going despite your brain's protective signals. The more functional you've appeared on the outside, the more depleted you are on the inside. Your brain isn't lazy, it's intelligent. It's not giving up on you, it's trying to save you. The next time you can't get out of bed, remember, you might not be lazy at all. You might just be human, with a nervous system that's been protecting you in the only way it knows how. Recovery is possible, but it requires understanding the difference between pushing through and healing through. Your brain has been your protector. Now it's time to become its ally. See you in the next video, where we'll keep untying those mental knots and make your brain go, "Oh, why didn't anyone explain it like this before?"